welcome to a Monday morning Jayda InStitches live tutorial. It is, well, it's actually kind of a sunny day out there. It's quite nice. I'm really happy to see it. You may remember, if you've been here for a while, that a couple years ago, back in 2023 for December, we made some little candy cane people. And we had all sorts of fun ideas of different little candy cane people we could do. I think we started with the gingerbread man, and then we made the snowman, we made a reindeer, we made an angel. I've got links to those original 4 tutorials in the description box down below. But really, I felt like we had to just add at least one more. We needed a Santa. There wasn't a Santa in the collection. So I got busy over the weekend. I was sort of chit-chatting with a few of you, and we were sort of talking about what might be an appropriate theme for the Monday ahead of America's Thanksgiving long weekend. I didn't want to jump in too quickly to Christmas if that was sort of something that some of you really didn't want to think about just yet, but most of the feedback was that, yeah, let's just go Christmas. You know, this is the week, you know, this is the week that all the Christmassy stuff starts to come out. It's next weekend. Up here in Canada, it's pretty much been Christmas since November 1st because we have our Thanksgiving in early October. And then of course there's Halloween at the end of the month. And then it's just basically the stores are all sparkles for 2 months. So I've been really itching to get into some Christmassy stuff and Christmassy crafts. So we're going to jump into that today. So welcome to the Christmas season 2025 here at the Jayda InStitches show. We're going to make this charming little Santa Claus to hang on to a couple of your candy canes. You can hang them on the tree. You can also make his friends. I've got patterns, written patterns for all 5 of them in the Etsy shop. And if you pop over to the shop, if you're brand new here to this series and you didn't see them before, I've got all 5 of them, including our brand new Santa, in a collection bundle. So if you wanted to get all 5 of them, then that bundle is available. Otherwise, all 5 of them are also available individually. And today, they're all 15% off. So a little kind of pre-sale on today's candy cane holder patterns ahead of Black Friday, because we do a special sale for those too, but a little sneaky sale ahead of schedule. If you're here at the show, you're in the know, and the link to our shop is up in the live chat. It's also in the description box. Let's get into it. Okay, I've got, today we're going to do Santa. I'm going to put these little fellows to the side. We're going to talk about some materials, and I'm going to hopefully, I think there's just been a slight update to one of my devices here, so if you'll pardon me from just sort of fiddling around a little bit, I want to make sure that I can hear stuff. Looks like I can. Okay, good. All right, here we go. In order to make our Santa Claus candy cane holder, I'm using size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn, but really you can use any size 4 weight yarn you want. I find that I've got a lot of acrylic in my collection, and this is really a scrap project, so it's the acrylic I'm going to use. But because this isn't something that you're going to wash very often, you can mix your fibers here if you want to. You don't need very much yarn at all. You need basically a half a yard of some pink and some yellow. Those are just for some very tiny little details. You need about 2 yards of black. That's for his belt, and that goes all the way around him. You need about, I don't know, 3 yards of skin tone. So whatever skin tone you like. This is those Skein Tones by Lion Brand. This one's almond. I love this one. You need about 6 yards of white. That's for his beard, his hair, a bit of his hat. And about 15 yards of red for his little suit. Now, if you were going to make this an elf, just substitute the green, for example, for the red. So 15 yards of the main sort of suit and hat color. That's what you need. Of course, you need a couple of candy canes. You need a little bit of ribbon. You could also use yarn, of course, but I like using ribbon or cording. It's a fun way to use up some of the stuff in the stash. You want a couple of little buttons. These are 5mm round plastic buttons. They're kind of a kid's craft supply, so you'll find them in the dollar store, Walmart. They're available on Amazon, probably if you shop on Temu and places like that. It's you just Google 5mm plastic round beads, and mixed colors of bags, different size bags, they all pop up. So kind of that's what I've been using for this. Of course, you'll need a sewing needle and thread to add your beads on unless you want to glue them. If you're going to glue them, I recommend like a fabric glue, because I feel like glue gun sometimes gets old and dry and the things fall off. So I recommend sewing, but if you don't want to sew, fabric glue would probably be best. Pair of scissors, yarn needle. I've got a 4.5 millimeter hook. This is also known as a size 7. That's the one I used for the previous 4 in the set. I'm going to continue with this one. And a little bit of I've got some ribbon here too. So that's what you need. Oh my gosh, look at the party in the chat. Before we get going here, I want to say a few thank yous. First of all, to all of our members for joining us today. Hello to Becky. Becky is in the chat gifting a membership. Thank you so much, Becky. Becky with a gifted membership, and congratulations to Rebecca. Rebecca has won it. Welcome to the family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Nico! Nico's here. Nico has just gifted a membership too. Thank you, Nico. Congratulations to Linda, who has won it. Nico with a membership milestone. Oh dear, Nico says she has some sad news. I have sad news. YouTube finally realized I was paying my account with Turkish price. Now I have to pay the American price. It was great while it lasted. I was paying about $1.50 a month. Aw, boy, YouTube picks some interesting things to catch up with. Thank you anyway, Nico. I appreciate it. And thank you for gifting the membership. And hello, Melissa. Melissa's also been a member here for 27 months. Thank you, Melissa. Melissa says, hey, Jayda, this is adorable. Question. I was asked about doing pants on one. How would you do that? Pants? Well, I guess you would make the, you would have to make the front and the back. You'd have to just sort of work, like you'd get to about, I guess this is row 10, and then only do four stitches across, and then back and forth the 4 stitches, and then cut your yarn and do 4 stitches back and forth on the other side, and then do exactly that on the side, the second side. That would leave a gap of 2 stitches between your lengths. Make them as long as you want. Make sure you make them all the same number of rows. And then when you're stitching, you'll have to sew up the sides, leave the bottom open, and sew up the inside. Sew up over here, sew down this side, leave the bottom open, sew up this side. So little pants. You know what? I love that challenge. I might just do one with pants. Maybe that'll be a little later on. All right, we've got our materials. We've got our hooks. Let's get right into this. The stitches are the usual kind, so there's nothing super complicated here. We're going to do this in 2 bits. So we're going to make side 1 first, and that's head, body, head, body. Side 1 and side 2 are made the same, but there's a little bit of difference between the colors we use. And the 2 things that are extra are the beard and the hat. So we're going to do the beard and the hat and all the decorating later. Let's start with side 1. Side 1 has our face. So grab your skin tone, whatever skin tone you have. I've got this almond color here. We're going to begin with a cinch circle. Hook goes through the middle. Grab the yarn, pull up a loop, chain 1. That secures your circle. And I'll make sure we've got a link to our cinch circle substitutions video in the description box down below after today's live stream, in case cinch circles give you a little trouble. But I highly recommend you do the cinch circle. You want a tiny, tiny row 1. You don't want any space in the middle of it, because it literally becomes the middle of your face and the middle of your head. Into that circle, we're going to work 8 single crochets. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. Cinch up that circle nice and tight. You shouldn't have any space at all in the middle. We're not joining our rows. We're going to work continually in the round. Into the next stitch, you're going to work 2 single crochets. I'm going to work over top of that short tail, but you can weave yours in later if you want. 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. If you have trouble, you can grab a stitch marker and just put the stitch marker on the first stitch there. I'll grab one. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Stitch marker on the first stitch of the set. That just tells you where the first stitch of row 2 is. And then 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Val says hello. She definitely thinks that Santa was required to complete the set. I think so too. There's so many little characters that kind of came up, and I want to do more of them. I love these guys. I think they look so funny and sweet hanging on the tree. I also just love them as gifts. They're just I mean, a candy cane is a sweet thing to bring to somebody, but dressing up the candy cane just makes it a little bit sweeter. We've got one more stitch left to go. You should have 16 stitches at the end of row 2, so count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And we're going to fasten off the skin tone, but before we do that, we want to even up the circle a little bit. So we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. That just kind of evens us up with where row 1 turned into row 2. Slip stitch into the next stitch to join that row, and now you can fasten off the skin tone. And that's it for the skin tone. Don't need any more of that. And you can weave that tail in or work over top of it. Grab your white yarn now. Santa's an old dude, so we're going to give him white hair. We're going to take our yarn and make a slip knot on our hook. We're going to join our yarn with a single crochet in the stitch before where we fastened off. So if you see there's the little knot from fastening off, and there's the hole that we joined the yarn in. You can sort of see it there. This is the stitch just before the fastened off knot. We're going to join our yarn with a single crochet right in there. We're going to single crochet into that same stitch again. So we've got 2 single crochet in the same place. Then you're going to skip the stitch. You're going to skip the stitch here that you joined your yarn in. Just skip that. You're going to go to the next stitch. Single crochet once into that next stitch. So this is just how we kind of smooth over that false stitch from the previous row. And because I'm working over my tails, I can kind of yank on them and just sort of even things up. 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And then single crochet once into the stitch after that. So that's the little pattern for row 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way around. And it's pretty easy to tell where your first stitch is, so I don't feel I need the stitch marker. We're going to have 24 stitches at the end of row 3. There we go. 24 stitches at the end of row 3. You're going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet you made. And it might be a little snug, but that's okay. Get your hook in there. It's very snug. There we go. Join with a slip stitch, and you're going to fasten off. And on side 1, you're leaving a bit of a long tail for sewing, because you have to sew the front and back pieces together, but you only leave the long tail on side 1. So about, what have I got here? A little over 30 centimeters or 12 inches, and that's enough for the head. So that is the head of side 1 front. So I'll get my little bits out of the way. We're not finished yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it so that we're looking at it like this. Our fastened off knot is to our right if you're working right-handed. If you're working left-handed, it'll be to your left. Grab your tunic color, or in this case, red. If you're making this into a little elf, then you might be wanting to use green. This is where you'd use your green yarn. Put a slip knot on your hook. For row 4, we're going to join our yarn with a half double crochet. If that's a bit tricky for you, you can slip stitch to join, chain 1, and half double crochet in the same place. You're going to join right here. So there's where you fastened off. You're joining right next to it. So in the stitch next to it, so you don't interfere with this. And I feel like if I hold sort of the little tail and then I wrap my yarn, I can join with a half double crochet and it's a little easier. And then I'm also still working over top of that little short tail. So you join with a half double crochet, or if that's just too tricky, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, half double crochet in that same stitch. Single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches because we're flattening off the bottom edge, and then half double crochet into the next stitch. So this is row 4. Row 4 is just 4 stitches, half double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet. And that's the neck basically, where it joins the head. And we're not interfering with that tail. That tail has not been stitched over. It's not being woven in. We're going to use that for sewing a little later. Sip of my coffee. All right, chain 1 and turn at the end of row 4. We are now going to make the shirt, the tunic, a little wider here. So we're going to start and end the next couple of rows with an increase. So we're half double crocheting now all the way across, 2 half double crochet into the first stitch, half double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and 2 half double crochet into the last stitch. So you've gone from 4 stitches to 6 stitches at the end of row 5. Chain 1 turn, we're going to do that again. 2 half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet across the middle 4 stitches, and 2 half double crochet into the last stitch. And now we're up to 8 stitches at the end of row 6. Chain 1 turn, and we're going to do that one more time. 2 half double crochet into the first stitch, half double crochet across the middle 6 stitches now, and 2 half double crochet into the last stitch. So you're up to 10 stitches. That's as wide as it gets. That's the end of row 7. You'll have 10 stitches. Make sure if you count them up, you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stitches, end of row 7. And now you're going to fasten off. Don't put your red yarn away just yet. So you don't need very much tail, just fasten off. I will be working over top of it. Turn. Grab your black yarn now. And put a slip knot on your hook. Hello everyone, if you're just joining us, we are making this charming little fellow, this candy cane Santa Claus. We've got 4 others in the collection, and we had to have a Santa too. So we're adding Santa to our candy cane cover collection today. Welcome, welcome if you're just joining us. Hello Ashley, Maria, Catherine, Samantha. Mr. InStitches is in the house, keeping an eye on things. All right, grab your black yarn, put a slip knot on your hook. We're going to join our yarn with a half double crochet or slip stitch, chain 1, half double crochet in that first stitch. We are not increasing, so I'm just going to hold that in place. Grab my black yarn, joining with a half double crochet in that first stitch. There we go. I'm going to work over top of my short tails, half double crochet in each of the remaining 9 stitches all the way across. You're not increasing. There's also no decreasing. You're just half double crocheting. You'll still have 10 stitches at the end of this row. This is his belt. And that's stitch number 10 for me. Fasten off. Don't put your black too far away. You're going to need it for side 2, but we're done with it for side 1. Turn. Get your red yarn back. I would just like to thank a few people for picking up the patterns. Becky, Marie, and Mariana, thank you so much for picking up the patterns. Like I said, my little tablet isn't making the right noises today, so I can't hear anything happening, but I can see what's going on in the shop if I take a moment. So big thank yous to Becky, Marie, and Mariana for picking up the patterns. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get on with row 9. We're going to take our yarn, join with a half double crochet again. If that's problematic, slip stitch to join in the first stitch, and then chain 1 half double crochet in the same place. So right in that first stitch, I'm joining with a half double crochet. I'm going to try that again. I find if I like to join with standing stitches, but I'm not always that great at them. So I find if I hold the little tail, it helps. But even then, I sometimes have to do it twice. There we go. Half double crochet, join, complete. Half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. You'll still have 10 stitches. This is row 9. I'm just working over top of my short tails because I love to have them woven in before I'm finished a project. I also feel that I crochet relatively snugly, so I don't find that my tails undo themselves, which is quite nice. Half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. That's still 10 stitches. Chain 1, turn. You've got one more row of half double crochet. Half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So you've made like a little tunic. It's the whole front, including the head, is only 10 rows, and the back is basically the same. It's a little easier to do though because the head is all done with white. Let me make sure that's 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and one more. Oh my goodness, I heard it. Marlena. So hers came through. That's interesting. It's a little bit delayed. Marlena, not Mariana. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know why the other two didn't work. It's the internet. The internet is on delay. All right, everybody, that is 10 stitches across for row 10. You're going to leave a long tail for sewing, maybe like, I don't know, 40, 45 centimeters, maybe like 16 inches or so, or a little bit longer. You need less than you think, but it's always nice to have more sewing thread than not enough. And you're only cutting sewing tails on the front. So there should be a long white one at the base of your head on side 1, and a long red one at the base, or green if you're making a little elf. A long tail at the base of your tunic on side 1. I've got one little more. Joya, thank you for picking up the pattern. Now things are working. I don't know what the heck was happening before. Thank you so much. I like to be able to sing everybody's praises when I hear it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, that is side 1. We're going to worry about decorating, like adding the little belt buckle and stuff in a moment, but let's get side 2 done. Side 2 is a little faster, a little easier. We're going to go back to the head. We're going to start with just the white. We don't have any, so there's just the back of the head. So the whole rows 1, 2, and 3 are all done with white for side 2. So let's get our yarn ready to go, and we'll whip up side 2. Make a cinch circle. 8 single crochets into the cinch circle. I'm going to go through this a little faster since it's basically the same stitch count and repeat of row 1, or side 1, I should say. Caroline says she had to reinstall YouTube a couple times. Yep. I totally understand that. I think there's been a whole bunch of recent updates across a lot of devices and softwares, and they all interfere with each other. So if things don't seem to be working out right, always like turn your system off and turn it back on. Sometimes that's all it needs, because some systems download software automatically and they just need a restart. That includes tablets, phones, laptops, PCs. And if it still doesn't seem to be doing anything properly, check to see if there's an update required on the software. Some software needs you to manually do it. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's what I have found. Okay. Right into the first stitch of what was row 1, we're going to work 2 single crochet, 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So we're going from 8 stitches at the end of row 1 to 16 stitches at the end of row 2. I'm definitely going to get my little stitch marker in there. Mark the first of those 2 stitches so I know where the beginning of the row is. 2 stitches in each stitch all the way around. And 2 in the last stitch, so that gives me 16. And we've got one more row to go, row 3, no changing colors. 2 single crochet immediately into the next stitch. That was the first stitch of what was row 2. I'm going to mark my first of those 2 stitches again. Single crochet once into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, etc. all the way around. Hello, hello everybody, if you're just joining us. Welcome to the beginning of the Christmas season here at the Jayda InStitches show. I know it's Thanksgiving week for our American family and friends, but I also know that you guys kind of start your Christmassy stuff on Friday, so I don't think this is too far ahead of schedule. When you get to the end of row 3, we are going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches because we want to even up row 3 so that it's a nice round circle. So that doesn't change your stitch count. You're just sort of single crocheting to even things out. Then you can slip stitch into the next stitch to fasten off. That sort of ends row 3. You do not need to leave a tail for sewing. So just, cut your yarn as you normally would, fasten off, and you can weave that tail in later or do it right now. I just sort of grab it and pull it up into some of the stitches on the other side of the circle. There we go. And then go back down. And my tails don't want to undo. So once I feel like that's pretty much in there knotted, then I'll just trim whatever's left. And I'll put that in my little stash basket. Okay. We are going to continue with the tunic. So we're not done here. We're going to grab our tunic color. I'm using red for Santa. You could use green if you're making an elf. We're going to join our yarn with a half double crochet, and technically you can join anywhere you want, but for simplicity's sake, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to join in the stitch right after where I fastened off, but there's no sewing tail to worry about here, so you can really join your yarn anywhere you want along what was anywhere on row 3 for side 2. You can join your yarn anywhere you want. Half double crochet, single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and half double crochet in the last stitch. So it's the exact same patterning now as row 1. Chain 1 turn, increase twice, 2 half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 2 half double crochet in the last stitch. That's row 5. At row 5 you're up to 6 stitches, chain 1 turn. Increase again, 2 half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet across the middle 4 stitches, 2 half double crochet in the last stitch. You're up to 8 stitches at the end of row 6, chain 1 turn. Row 7, 2 half double crochet to begin, half double crochet across the middle 6 stitches, and 2 half double crochet in the last stitch. That gives you 10 stitches. That's row 7 complete, and you want to fasten off. We're going to do a row of black, row 8, and then rows 9 and 10 are red again. So fasten off, a little bit of tail, not too much. I'm going to half double crochet over top of that tail. Turn your work, grab your black yarn. Some of you have got your trees up already. I made some I got very crafty and I made some outdoor lawn ornaments out of tree branches and added lights to some of them. So a couple of them have got solar lights and one of them has regular plug-in lights because it's closer to the house. A tree and some big stars. And they're up and lit in the evenings, but I don't have any inside ornaments up yet. That's this weekend. Going to join our black yarn in the first stitch with a half double crochet in each of the remaining 9 stitches all the way across, so you still have 10 stitches, and this is again the belt. I'm working over top of my short tails. My last stitch. Snip your yarn, fasten off. That's all you need for black yarn, just a small scrappy amount. And turn, grab your red yarn again. Join your yarn with a half double crochet or a slip stitch chain 1, half double crochet in the same stitch. And half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. You'll still have 10 stitches. This is row 9. Chain 1 turn, and for row 10, the last row, half double crochet in each stitch all the way back. So you'll still have 10 stitches. The last 2 rows are red or green if you're making an elf. And you can fasten off. You do not need a sewing tail at the end of row 10 side 2 back because you already have one on side 1. Weave your tails in. If you've got any extra tails sort of showing up, just take a moment, weave them all in on the wrong side. This will be the inside of the Santa. There we go. So we've got side 1 front, side 2 back. So you've got your little face, you've got the back of the head. Let's do a little bit of decorating before we make our beard and our hat. So very simple little belt buckle. We're going to take a length, you don't even need that much, of yellow yarn, gold yarn, whatever color you want your belt buckle to be. Thread up that yarn in your yarn needle. Grab the front. It's very important that it's the front. You don't need a belt buckle on the back, so you're only doing this once. And you're going to find the middle 2 stitches. So you've got 10 stitches across, count in 4, and numbers 5 and 6 are where you're going to sort of center your belt buckle. I like to come up on top of stitch number 4 or stitch number, I guess, 7, depending on which way you're counting in from. I come up from there. I'm going to hold a bit to the back. I also want to make sure that I don't have my sewing yarn sort of in the way. Skip over top of these 2 middle stitches. That's stitches 4 and 5, or 4 and 5, depending on, or I should say 5 and 6 are the middle stitches, 5 and 6. Skip them over. And then down through the top of stitch number 7, I'm going to bring my yarn through. And I'm going to repeat that right through the same 2 places, because my yarn isn't super thick. If you were using a really thick yarn, you might only need to do like 1 stitch, but I want like a decent looking belt buckle. Then I'm going to skip down to between, this is again, the middle stitches 5 and 6, between this one and the stitch next to it. So between stitches 6 and 7 or 4 and 5, depending on how you're looking at it. And I'm going to do that a couple times. Nico has gifted another membership. Thank you so much, our gifting ninja Nico. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Congratulations to White Island 77. Welcome to the family. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing down here. I'm going to mirror it. Another couple of stitches. And then between these 2 points, the last 2 stitches. Really, really simple, nothing complicated. If you've got sparkly gold yarn, or you've got yellow yarn, but you've got like an embroidery floss that's like a sparkly gold, you might want to mix it in there. Go for it. That gives it a little bit of flash. Then you can take those 2 tails, knot them together, not too tightly. You don't want to accidentally pull any of your stitches too tight, but knot it together on the back, trim it, and that's that. No need to weave in any tails. Make sure your sewing tails didn't accidentally get caught up in it while you were embroidering. So there's our little belt buckle. Now we're going to make the beard, the hat. We're going to put the beard on. We're going to do his little mouth, add his eyes. This is all pretty simple stuff. So grab your white yarn to make the beard. We're going to start with a slip knot and chain 6. Six chains. Into the second chain from the hook, we're going to slip stitch, single crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next chain, double crochet into the next chain, and into the last chain, an extended double crochet. You can use a treble crochet here if you want, but I like the extended for this purpose. So you start like a double crochet, yarn over, pull back through 2, chain 1 in the middle, yarn over, pull back through 2. So that's your extended double crochet. We're not done yet. Across the top edge of your last stitch, you're going to work 3 single crochet. So don't chain 1, just put your hook through the edge of that stitch, single crochet, do it again in the middle, right where that chain 1 would be, single crochet, do it again at the end, maybe into that first chain, single crochet, just 3 little single crochets. All we're doing is kind of rounding up the top of his beard. And now you can fasten off. Leave a little bit of tail for sewing, like 30 centimeters, 12 inches. And weave in the little short tail. So you flip it over. And I always like to get my needle through all the stitches that I want to weave the tail in first, and then I thread up the tail. I find that's a good technique when you're dealing with one of these yarn needles that has the big eye. And shape it a little bit. Oh, Nico, you going to give Santa sunglasses? Oh, that was Crocus. Crocus. Yeah, why not? I mean, Santa's got to wear goggles, I would think, right? When he's flying. Okay, that's the little beard. Super simple. We're going to put that aside. Let's make it the little hat now before we go any further. So grab your red yarn, and we're going to start with a cinch circle. And into that cinch circle with our red yarn, we're going to make 4 single crochets. So we're starting at the very top of the hat. 4 single crochets into your cinch circle. Cinch it up nice and tight. This is very small, but don't worry, it gets bigger. And you can work over top of your short tail or leave it out. It's up to you. Into the first stitch of row 1, we're going to work 2 single crochet. So I'm also going to work over top of my little short tail. 2 single crochet into the first stitch. Single crochet once into the next stitch. And 2 single crochet into the third stitch. So 2, 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet into the last stitch. So from 4 to 6, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet. For row 3, you're just going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. It might be a bit cumbersome to use a stitch marker, so just count to 6. There we go. So row 3, you still have 6 stitches. We're going to increase again. For row 4, single crochet twice, so 2 single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet once into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 single crochet into the next stitch, and single crochet once into each of the remaining 2 stitches. So from 6 to 8. So you now have 8 stitches all the way around. We're making a cone shape. For row 5, you're going to single crochet in every single stitch all the way around, count to 8, or if you can, use your little stitch marker. I love eggnog. We've already had some eggnog in the house. I went to get more of it the last time I was out shopping. They were out. That's how popular it already is. All right, that's 8 single crochet all the way around for row 5. We're going to increase again for row 6. It's a slightly different increase pattern though, so pay attention. 2 single crochet to begin row 6, and I am going to use my little stitch marker, so that's stitch marker put on the first of those 2 stitches. Single crochet once into the next stitch, and now we repeat 2 1 2 1. We're going to do that 4 times all the way around. 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Last stitch, 1 single crochet. It'll be right before your stitch marker. That brings us up to 12. And you can put in an extra stitch here and there if you want. Doesn't really matter. So single crochet into the next stitch, or 2 or 3 if you want. You also don't have to. Sometimes I like to even up the bottom of my hat. Sometimes I don't feel it really matters. And I'm just looking kind of for where row 1 turns into row 2. Not important in this little hat. Slip stitch to finish the row, most importantly. Fasten off red. You don't need a long tail. And I'm just going to shove that up into the hat. We're not done yet though. We want to give it a little white edging. If you had novelty yarn, like fluffy white yarn, this might be kind of, you could add it to the bottom of the hat. You could also add it to the bottom of his jacket if you wanted. Sometimes you see Santa's coat lined with fur, all like white fur all the way around. Sometimes you don't. So slip knot on hook. We're going to join our white yarn with a single crochet in the same stitch that we just fastened off in. I'm going to work over top of the short tails as best I can. Single crochet again in the same stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch, and we're going to use that same 2 1 2 1 pattern all the way around again. So we're going from 12 stitches all the way up to 18. There'll be 6 increases in total for this row. 2 single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet once into the stitch after that, and then 2 1 2 1 to complete the whole row. And this just gives us kind of like a little simple little cone pattern, kind of flares the hat out a little bit so it sits on his head. Catherine's asking if we have hot cross buns for Eastern Canada. We absolutely do. They show up just ahead of Easter. And I should have one more stitch in here somewhere. I'll just stick that in anywhere. Slip stitch to join, most importantly, to the first stitch. Exact stitch count doesn't matter, but if you did the 2 1 2 1 pattern all the way around, you'll have 18 stitches. Most importantly, when you flatten it, it should look like a little toque, a little pointed elf hat. Leave yourself a little bit of a sewing tail. You don't need a whole lot, maybe 8 inches or 20 centimeters or so. And you can just leave that to the back for now. So we have a beard and we have a hat. These are the 2 extra detailed pieces that we needed to crochet. Now we're going to sew the beard to the face. So on side 1 front, you're going to take your side 1 front, grab your little beard, thread up the tail left on the beard, and we're going to sew it, the pointy bit, down. I like to line the top edge up across the very middle of the face. So you see where we've got the little very center of the face? You want to have the flat edge running right across the middle of it. So center it on that face. And then I like to hold it in place. And of course, when you're doing this, you pause every couple of stitches to make sure it's not shifting around on you. And we're going to sew right through the front, in and out, in and out. We're using the running stitch. So I'm just going in and out, in and out. I'm not whip stitching this, so I'm not going around the edge. I'm going through the piece all the way to the back and then back up again. And I make sure that it's not moving on me. So you see I'm going in, out, all the way down the edge. That's what it looks like on the back. So it doesn't matter because this isn't going to show. And this sometimes is just a lot easier to do than trying to whip stitch. I also like that it kind of leaves the outside edge a little bit. It makes it look a little more like a fluffy beard. I want to get that point. And now I'm going to go all the way back up the other side. And I'm just going through the edges of the stitch along the side. In, out, in, out. Joyce has never had a hot crust bun. They're tasty. They're sweet buns, and they're just made with like basically a cross in the dough. The dough has like a different colored dough draped across it in a cross. They're pretty tasty. I guess it depends on who's making them, but I've always liked them. Becky says that little hat could be used for so many things. It would be cute for a bookmark. Maybe put his books on the bottom end. Oh, that's cute. Yes. When you're finished, take your yarn all the way to the back. So like his beard's completely stitched on. And just make a little knot on the back. A bookmark. That is such a cute idea. I like to knot it at least twice. And then, if you want, run it through the backs of some of those white stitches and just fasten off. It's not going to come undone. Make sure you're not catching your sewing. Make sure you don't cut your sewing yarn. You're only cutting the sewing yarn for the beard, but the actual sewing yarn attached to your head is uncut. So our beard is on. We put the hat on last, so we don't have to worry about that right now, but we do want to add his little mouth and his eyes. So I've got you can use red again. I've got a little tiny scrap of pink. And by scrap, I mean like you barely need anything. Thread up the yarn needle. And we're just going to do a little tiny short, so you can sort of see it here on this one. Just below that little row of single crochet, we're going to do it right in the middle. So that's about where his mouth is, but of course you can pick wherever you want. But I kind of like that right about here in the middle. Again, I'm going to leave a little bit out to the back for knotting, and I'm going to go through it twice. You can do one stitch if your yarn's a little on the thicker side, but I've got this is a thinner yarn, so I'm going to do it twice just so his mouth doesn't completely disappear into all of that white yarn for the beard. So 2 stitches, again, both through the same 2 places every time. There we go. One little mouth, very simple. Knot the 2 ends together on the back of the head, trim whatever's left. No need to weave those tails in. Make sure that knot though is nice and tight. There we go. And now 2 eyes. So I've got, again, like I said, I've got these little plastic beads. These are little 5mm round plastic beads. They're kind of available just about anywhere kids' craft supplies are. I love to use kids' craft supplies. And I'm just going to sew them on. So I think I've got enough yarn here. I had some extra, I should say thread. I had some extra thread lying around, but I think I might be able to do it with just this small amount. Maybe not. You know what? Just to be safe, I'm going to change it up. I don't think it matters what color thread you use here. I'm using brown thread, but I don't really think it matters. This is sort of an old spool of thread that I have, so I'm eager to kind of use it up. I'm going to thread my needle, and I like to double my yarn or double up my thread when I'm sewing. It just makes it kind of easier. So I bring both my ends together, put a little knot in the bottom end. There we go. And then I pretty much know that I want my eyes to sit right on top of his beard. So if you look at this one, I've got them both sitting right on top of the beard. So on the back, I attach my yarn because I've doubled up my thread. I should say thread, not yarn. I like kind of loop it through. That sort of anchors it on the back. And I bring it out sort of right where I want one eye to start. And then I'm just going to sew this one down a couple times. Make sure that it didn't twist on me. There we go. Everybody's talking about how tall they are. I'm, I guess, I don't know, my average? I'm 5'5". A little over 5'5". I'm the shortest person in my family. And once you think one eye is down pretty well, do the other one. Nico says she loves the blue eyes on Santa. You know what? I kind of like, I like these because they don't feel too strange. I didn't want to use two black eyes. And I mean, obviously you could use any color you want, green, brown, blue. I've got blue. I don't have any green. I don't have any brown. So I'm using blue eyes. I mean, technically he's Saint Claus, right? Claus or Saint Nicholas, you know, German, Russian. I mean, they're typically kind of blue-eyed, but I mean, Santa can be any color you want. Santa can have colored eyes of any color. He's magical. He might even have purple eyes. How do I know? Use whatever color you like. All right, so I've got both my eyes stitched down. And now I'm just going to knot that yarn on the back. And I'll do it 3 times just to be sure, because I don't want my eyes to come off. And just to weave that underneath some of the yarn that's there. And there we go. That can go back in my little needle book. Always put your needles back so they don't get lost. Okay, the beard is on, the eyes are on, the mouth is on, and now we want to put the 2 pieces together, and then we will add the hat and the ribbon. So full-on construction here. Make sure that the right sides of your 2 pieces, your front and your back, are facing out. So the wrong sides are together, because you want it to look nice from the front and the back. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. Bruce and Mary Lewis, hello. Just love the candy cane holders. I have already done the gingerbread and the snowman. Thank you for the tutorials. You're welcome. I love these too. They're so fun. They're just so cute and quirky. I love them. I love them. There's versions of these. I mean, you can sew them. You can make little felt versions of these. I had to make some crochet ones a couple years ago when I was thinking to myself, I love candy. We have little felt ones. I'm all nostalgic. I love nostalgic 1950s, 60s, 70s. I love the ornaments from those decades. And I have old little felt horse heads. And I think a snowman, but I definitely have the horse heads that I think like my my mom or my grandmother made back in like the 60s, possibly even the 50s. I still have them, and you slip the horse head over a candy cane. It's supposed to be a hobby horse, right? I just love that. So I wanted to make some that were crocheted, and of course the character ideas just kept coming and coming and coming, and here we are. All right, first we're going to sew the head together. Easy peasy. We're going to use the same running stitch that we used to sew on the beard. You're just going to make sure that both pieces are fully lined up. You're going to start with your yarn all the way through, and then through each set of stitches, you're going to go back and forth, in, out, through each matched pair of stitches all the way around the head. And pause every so often if you're worried that it might be moving on you. Back and forth, easy peasy. Again, not the whip stitch. We're using the running stitch, and the reason for that is 1, running stitch is easy and fast. 2, it just kind of creates like this fluffy edging. It kind of looks like hair. It doesn't look like it's sewn. You don't really see the sewing stitches, and I like that for this pattern. Becky says, you know what I can't find? A small enough needle for my smaller beads. Yeah, you need beading needles. My mother-in-law just found some. Where the heck did she get those? Beading needles. Really, really tiny, fine. That's what you have to look up. Beading needles. They are super, super tiny and fine. All right, all the way down to the other side. Bring your yarn through to the inside and make a little knot somewhere over here. Just knot it. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then you can just weave your tails in underneath a handful of those white stitches there. It's going to be pretty snug, so I don't feel like you have to go back and forth, but if you're worried, go ahead and do that. Trim whatever's not necessary. So that's the head attached. Now we're going to do the rest of the body. So you thread up the yarn at the bottom edge, and we're going to do the same thing. It's a running stitch all the way through, all the way up to the top of row 5. So right here, you want to make sure you leave this open, because that's where your little shoulder of your candy cane is going to come out. So just like we did before, hold both pieces together, you know, just pause every so often to make sure that it's not sort of slipping on you. If you don't want your red yarn to show, then you peel back the 2 edges, grab the inside loop of the black and the inside loop of the black on the other side, and just do this, and then back out immediately. So you've stitched it shut, but you don't see it. All the way up till you get to about row 5. So you want to leave a nice sort of open area there. So I'm going to come all the way through here. Then slip your hook or your needle through the one side that you came out of last and then run your needle underneath some of those stitches through to the other side. And we're going to do the same thing down the other edge. You're leaving the opening. So what you're doing is you're leaving row 5 unworked, or just sort of the edge. You want to have an opening there for your candy cane. So if you're unsure, pause and slip a candy cane through it. Make sure that the candy cane goes through. And then you stitch back and forth, running stitch all the way down the other side. We're leaving the bottom open, obviously, because the legs have got to come through. And if you don't want this to be seen. Grab the inside loop and the inside loop from both sides. And then right back out and keep on stitching. There we go. Bring your yarn through to the inside. Make a little knot because we're leaving the bottom undone. And then I like to weave that tail in along the underside of those red stitches on the bottom edge. And I'm not too worried about it wanting to come undone, so I'm just going to go all the way across and then trim. Okay, there we go. So he's all stitched together now. We just need to put on the hat. But wait, don't we need a little pom-pom? Shouldn't we have a pom-pom on the top of Santa's little hat? I think so. If you don't have a super tiny pom-pom, she says, taking a sip of coffee, then we're just going to kind of pretend to make one here. So if you don't have a little tiny pom-pom, here's a simple way to make one. Make a little slip knot. This is a tiny little sort of top of a hat. Chain 2, work about 4 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. It's the first chain you made. It's about 4 single crochet. Slip stitch to join that first single crochet you made. So you've made like a little bit of a circle. Cut a bit of tail. Fasten off. Kind of squeeze it into a little bit of a ball shape. And then take those 2 tails and knot them together really tightly. So you're just kind of mimicking a small little bit of a ball. And you can kind of tuck that knot up into the middle of it. So you've got like a little, it's just the hint of a pom-pom, and you're going to stitch it to the top. So right through one of the stitches of row 1 on the hat, I'm going to take that long tail and I'm just going to go up through the middle, back down again. This doesn't have to be all that fancy. It's not very heavy. So as long as you feel like it's on there pretty good. Then, maybe I'll do that once more. I'm going to take both tails now all the way down through to the inside of the hat. So the 2 little short tails, the one I'm sewing with, and the other one, I'm going to make sure they both go through slightly different places. Flip my hat inside out briefly. I'm going to knot those 2 little ends together and they can just stay where they are in the inside of the hat. And that will make sure that the little pom-pom stays on. There, nice and tight. So there's my little pom-pom. It's a suggestion of a pom-pom, but I feel like at this scale, it kind of looks like a fluffy little edging. That can stay up in there. And now we want to sew this to the top of our Santa. So I'm just going to sort of flatten the hat so that my sewing tail comes out one edge. And you're going to just squeeze the hat over top of both sides. We're only going to run around 3 or 4 stitches through the middle of it. So let's take our yarn, bring it up here. squeeze it over top of the head, and you're going to right through the white edge where the white meets the red, all the way through the hat. Make sure you get an edge of the head. So make sure you get the head. Put the hat back on, and you're coming through on the other side of the hat. You're going to do that like 3 or 4 times. So through the edge of the hat, through the edge of the head, make sure you get through the head. Like if you have to like kind of like pry open the hat, and then through another spot on the hat, and then again through a stitch on the hat, right through the head. It's just the top edge of the head, and then through the other side of the hat, and then maybe like one more. There we go. Bring your thread to the inside. Make a little knot down here, and then you can weave your tail in along some of the inside edges of the hat brim. There we go. And again, you probably won't feel like this is going to come undone, so just run it under some stitches, trim it up. There we go. Hat is on. Hat, beard, mouth, eyes, belt buckle, those are the main sort of decorative bits. Now we want to add a little bit of ribbon. So I cut about 30 centimeters, maybe a little less than that. I like to have about a 6-inch hang available on my ornament. If you want a sort of less hang, and by hang I mean like the distance between where it catches on a tree branch and where the actual ornament begins. So 5 or 6 inches, that's like, what is that, about 7 and 8.5 centimeters or so. So if I'm unsure, I kind of just fold it in half and I go, yeah, that looks good. And then I snip my ribbon at that point. Before I knot it, I like to bend it in half, more or less. I mean, you can even it out. Just slip that through my yarn needle, and then I'm going to pull this up through a stitch on my hat. So on the pom-pom of my hat, if you used an actual pom-pom, just use a stitch below it on the hat. Pull that through the stitch so you have a loop. Bring both ends through, and then take that opportunity to just sort of even up your ends of your ribbon. So I like to hold them together and then sort of pull it so that it's sitting on top of the pom-pom. Then I'll knot those ends together. There we go. So now he's going to hang evenly. And all that's left to do is add our candy canes. So one of them goes in. I like to, if you're struggling to sort of put your finger through so you can sort of see that shoulder opening, this one goes through that side, and then the other side. Two candy canes per Santa. And there we go. Santa! The Santa candy cane holder, the latest addition to our little collection of friends. I've got the rest of them here. This has been so much fun making these guys. I can't believe it was 2023, so it was Christmas of 2023 that we started making these. I thought it was just last year. That's how fast the time is flying. So I've got Santa, I've got an angel, I've got a reindeer, a gingerbread man, and I've got a snowman now too. So that's a set of five little critters or characters. These guys are so much fun. They're so much fun. And they're such a fun gift. So if you're going to bring candy canes, you know, they also don't take up a lot of yarn. They're a nice little scrap buster. So pick a pattern, pick some colors out of your stash, and You can make up a whole, like if you've got a full dedicated ball of yarn, you can make up several, obviously, out of a single ball of yarn. Yeah, the written patterns for all 5 of these guys are available in our Etsy shop, and I just recently created a bundle. So if you want all 5, because you don't have all 5, you can get them all together. The bundle has a 15% rebate built into it. So all 5 patterns available in one bundle. It's called the Candy Cane Holder Collection. But you can also individually buy them because they're all individually available in the pattern shop as well. And today, they're all 15% off. If you are considering doing a little pattern shopping, since you're at the show, you're in the know, we will be having our Black Friday sale event. It runs this Black Friday all through next week. And it's the biggest sale we do every year. Everything in the shop will be 25% off. So if you are kind of thinking about picking up a few things, feel free to wait until this Friday or next week. That's when we're having our big sale. And we'll probably remind you guys about that a little towards the end of the week as well. If you want to make any of the other characters in this collection, I've got the links to those tutorials in the description box down below. I will be adding chapters to today's video, so if you need to pop back in or you're kind of busy, it's a crazy week for a lot of you, I know. If you want to pop back and just see one particular spot, like a particular side or a row or the hat, the beard, whatever, I'll have all those chapters available so you can just quickly jump forward or backward to whatever spot you need. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. If you are celebrating Thanksgiving this week, happy holidays. Stay safe. If you're traveling, please, please, please be careful. It's one of the craziest traveling weeks of the year, so please be careful. Keep your situational awareness, as my family likes to say. Keep alert. Keep your eyes, keep your head on a swivel, especially if you're driving or traveling, because it can be just sort of nutty. Everybody's in a hurry. Everybody's in a rush. So please stay safe. Get to your destination safely. And remember to pack your craft supplies if you're traveling, because you want to be able to get cozy and sit down and chit chat with friends and family and have a little something for your hands to do. So remember to bring your patterns. Remember to bring your phone or tablet charger if you're traveling, and bring a little collection of yarn and sewing needle, your little sewing and crafting kit. Bring it with you, because that makes somehow a holiday so much more fun. And if you're not traveling, make yourself a little quasi travel kit to sit with you in the front room while you're entertaining, because you can sit and do some crocheting or some crafting in the front room. You don't have to bring the whole craft room out with you, but just a little kind of mobile kit. Have that available too. And if you've got kids coming over, you know, kids crafts, important thing to have available. Kids love to have something to do. We've got a tutorial about that, actually, like a whole video on sort of some fun crafting ideas for parties. I'll link that in the description box down below as well if you're interested. And have a great week. We'll be popping in and out. We'll definitely see you Friday, if not before. And stay safe. Have a wonderful week. For the rest of you not having a holiday of any kind this week, just have a great week. Stay safe and crafty. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to our members. Thank you to our subscribers. Thank you for picking up a pattern at our shop. Thank you for being a member. Thank you to Becky and Nico for gifting a couple memberships. Really appreciate the support, you guys. We really, really do. And have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Stay crafty. And Merry Christmas! Here we go! It's the Christmas season. Bye, guys!